Chill here with Sirius Dallas Moon 444. Energy reading. Well, people need to get zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning because there are attempts to question is somebody from the labor union or there's something to do with transportation or like drivers of public transportation. I don't know if there was a strike of such people, but Uranus ingressing Gemini will bring many strikes. I was particularly warning from the minor strike, which is the core issue. And my approach is to go zero rape, zero slavery. Now, here's the thing: if the enslaved people rape, then how should I say that? There's kind of less implications, but the enslaved people still, even if somebody, let's say somebody raped and somebody enslaves them, because raping is enslavement, I would not, I would not, how should I say that? Of course, people that raped people, astrally or not, or targeted people to trafficking are more susceptible. But an enslaved person doesn't produce something that can be trusted. And here's the thing: there are a lot of big fancy buildings built by slavery um, that tells something about their engineering quality. For example, a lot of buildings in Israel were built by something that, even if it wasn't slavery per se, um, wasn't exactly safe building conditions. And most Israelis' buildings do not stand in the earthquake requirement. And in countries where they say that they do, they should ask themselves, were the buildings built by slavery? Now, it seems that there can be attempts to figure out. Oh, and this is one of the most risky things. There is no such thing as sex work. It's all trafficking. Never ever. Like, people might be asking, oh, is somebody a sex worker? Is somebody a prostitute or somebody like that? And it's like they might be reaching a place whereas zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning, and they might reach a zone where where the belief is, for example, I go by zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning, so I know it is legal to kill people who believe that there is such thing as sex work if they commit offenses or if they try to um, even, I don't know, purchase trafficked material. It is okay to kill them because they are basically committing crime against humanity, which means, which is like it's punishable by death for a reason. So I know that there are a lot of intergenerational, cross-cultural, whatnot. This is something that can be incredibly risky for people to assume that there is such thing as sex work, or that somebody is a sex worker, or that somebody sells something to do with sex. Um, that can literally, like, they may run into a zone, particularly if that person has already dealt with such harassment on that basis. I know a lot of people that were, let's say, aromatherapists. People thought that they do massages, or I never did massages, but even people that were doing, let's say, medical massage, they were harassed by people that thought that they were offering sex services because the sex services, the trafficking, there's no such thing as sex services, but they may run into a zone where somebody's like so completely frustrated that they might enact the fact that they can kill a person that believes that there is such thing as sex work because it is a crime against humanity and is trying to commit a crime against humanity under the guise of asking if somebody is, or wondering if somebody is a sex worker or selling anything to do with that, which is impossible. It's basically rape. And this is basically can get them targeted to death um, because they're committing a crime against humanity. So, and for people that try to see who is someone who is behind it, they should get zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning first for their methods for any truth to come out, and then they can take into account that there are torturers, and then people have loss of sense of self, and then there is mind control by proxy, dark esoterics, and technology interfaces, and they should take all of those into account when they try to sort out whether it's crime or who is behind something, or even to get correct intelligence information. Doesn't work with rape and slavery, and this is where also, when it comes to labor unions, if people are now beginning to worry about labor union, the Histadrut in Israel building was one of the Histadrut buildings was bombed. One of the very first, the foundation of the Histadrut building was bombed. Severe killing of people, and supposedly in the war in Iran. But this is also where the labor unions themselves need to ask themselves, were they enabling rape and slavery? Okay, where were they at the Me Too, for example? What about people that can't afford to pay for representation or to pay the fee to be a member? They have not been transparent about many things, and that can create a situation where the labor unions are being rejuvenated. Now, at the same time, there are people that try to capitalize on that by preventing unionization of laborers. Uranus in Gemini is unionization of laborers o'clock. But the most important thing is the zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning. So even if people wonder, oh, are they with the union of the bus drivers? Are they with the union of, I don't know, Amazon workers? They should first ponder, have they considered that this person is simply zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning practitioner? Okay, and this is and if they haven't, then that they should take that, like whatever their opinion is, they should take that into account, because they're gonna run into something that they haven't even begun to imagine. Okay, labor union worker strike is one thing. A person that is not in alignment with zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning is criminal against humanity. Crimes against humanity are punishable by death. Um, Meet Heaven Aldebaran as I speak. People that were involved with astrally raping people, that they know they astrally raped someone. They need to tend to abolish rape, astral and not astral. Because now is the time, the time where people are like, oh, people don't want to work, or people this, or people that. No, now people are aware. Hey, what's with that person? Why don't they accept any living offer? They were raped. They were astrally raped at a house that they rented. They went the fuck out of there because of that. They're not trusting anyone. Same with work, same with. And so it's kind of like no choice but to. And there were people trying to, let's say, open a business. They had to escape a place, and let's say the documents were left there. Even if they didn't make anything, when it's due diligence, they have notified the authorities ahead of time. Now, if their phone was stolen or whatnot, And people will have to actually like, well, if that person escaped human trafficking, before they think about taxation, which probably the person is anyway not in the tax bracket in like to begin with, um, but before they even think about this question, they're like, well, what did they do about the trafficking that this person escaped from, so that that person would to begin with have a chance to run a business. All trafficking scams. Okay, I talked about it in a previous episode. Um, Together with the unionization of laborers. Like if people don't have a job, they need to have a house, they need to have food, they need to have clothing. They can't just, and if people expect the people to be trafficked, they run into, well, it's okay, it's legally okay to kill a person that tries to traffic someone. Okay, it's legally okay to kill somebody who tries to rape someone. This is why, like, I know that that can be a cross-cultural thing, and even a couple of decades ago, I would think like I don't know, red light districts in Netherlands is so normalized that nobody even thinks twice about this. But this is something that can be very risky because it's legal. So let's say somebody goes to, I don't know, somebody in the red light district. That person, that man, woman, I don't know, trans person, I don't know, is legally able to murder them because this person is trafficked. And people that had a mental health crisis, trafficking them is harming the helpless. Even people that had a financial crisis, trafficking them is harming the helpless. Crime against humanity, eligible, punishable by death. Slavery based business models, even if it's like modern slavery, if the people get sick at work because of the working conditions, they won't be able to swipe it under the rug anymore. And the fact that we have an AI revolution which tackles mainly the intellectual professions. And the intellectual professions are to begin with the people that weren't compatible for the, let's say, construction work. I cannot work in construction, not because I don't find value and merit in this job. It can actually be very satisfying to build something, but because I'm not physically fit. And it basically means that there is a huge sector that are out of a job not only because of AI, but because to begin with they weren't compatible. Like, why did I go to study? Because I wasn't compatible for any work with corruption. I would begin to get sick. Now I'm talking, I'm broadcasting, but my throat would sore when there was corruption at work. I would not be able to speak. I was literally taking, trying to take things against allergy and so on and so forth. And then it was like, well, I can't, I can speak, but only the truth. And so these people are not just going to be able to, it's not only the AI, but also the fact that they're not actually able to replace their previous intellectual job if they had one, with a simple job because they're not skilled. Some people may be skilled for that. Most people are not skilled for that. Like if I was supposed to do something that's not of any intellectual component, I would probably be incompetent and feel insecure and depressed. Um, Even in the societies where you just have to be good enough, even that I have that much like insecurity because, and then if I would be not paid well, I would just feel exploited and like everything is paramounting to nothing, which is to begin with how I reached the point of give me death or give me studies in the subprime crisis. Um, Everybody complained that I constantly that I'm like the eternal student. So there are many people like that. And when it comes to intellectualism, because of the infiltration of the Epstein rings, then I couldn't do corruption also in academia. So so it's kind of like the only outlet there is if somebody pushes somebody like that to a corner is like, well, it is legal to kill anybody that would try to push me that to that corner because they committed a crime against humanity. But that computation is not there for all people. And this is why I say this is so fucking risky because people are going to think they're dealing with, I don't know, labor union or which is crime enough to try to oppress labor rights or whatnot. But or somebody is, I don't know, they would think that somebody is a sex worker and find it, but they run into somebody who's like beyond fed up, beyond feeling pressed to the corner on a survivalistic level, and understand that what the person in front of them is doing is a crime against humanity. So they might get one warning tops, but the next one is going to be death. It's kind of like to kill or die trying because there really is no outlet. And if people are administered, let's say, forcibly drugs, it also means that they can get away with murder. Okay, this is how psychiatrists get slaughtered. And I think that this is kind of like what people don't see about Uranus Gemini because they think, okay, Civil War clock, labor's union, they try to oppress labor's union before they even begin, which is, how should I say that? It's kind of like, that historically went bad. Why would you try to repeat the same mistakes as Ford now? Oh, because we got new technology. Well, the miners of the minerals will strike. Oh, we're going to target everyone. Well, the people that develop these targeting programs get detained in all kinds of countries. Now, because of the cross-cultural thing, because there's like colonialism and expedition and so on and so forth, this can be particularly risky because people that can come, I don't know, even if people come from Netherlands and they run into a person that says, okay, this is a crime against humanity. They're like, what are you talking about? Because for them, red light district is like a cultural pole. Like, don't try to reason with a person that has already been in survivalistic struggle, can't work, doesn't have housing that is safe for them, and knows that this is a crime against humanity and that rape is taking people, depriving people of their health, causing inflammation, depriving them of the sense of self, causing basically a myriad of mental health issues. That is all trafficking and so on and so forth. Like that can really be, inflamed. Um, And this is where people can be getting into really troubled situations simply because culturally they normalize something that is crime against humanity. Okay, I remember when it was in United States and they cut the food stamps. So there were BIPOC men saying, "Oh, now we're gonna get some love." Um, let's just say that didn't age. I wouldn't say that did not age well. That did not age. Okay, that is the right framework to think about these things. Particularly, who is going to have the most trouble with this transit, with this upcoming transit? People that are so in their traditional mindset that they think that somebody should not answer them, even. This is the people that are going to have the most difficult time. Because Uranus in the sign of speech is not like Uranus, Gemini has no filter. Anything coming through Gemini has no filter. Uranus removes the filter on the truth. Okay, why did we have the Me Too during Uranus Aries? Because the people that were oppressed could no longer shut up, even if it would cost them their lives. That was the Me Too. So the people think that the Me Too went too far. How should I say that? Um, when it comes to being predictive and pragmatic, there is nothing pragmatistic about thinking that the Me Too went too far. Pragmatically. It's like, hey, Uranus is going to go into civil war clock. Yeah, probably there will not be a civil war. No, people will never rebel their labor rights. No, why should they do that? They just do that every time in history. But now we have a country with Uranus in the ninth house as a Uranus return. The literally military, biggest military alliance in the world, the biggest military alliance in the world, with Uranus return in the 10th house, and the United States as usual. Yeah, of course, and then, yeah, nothing is going to happen. Of course, it's kind of like pragmatically to believe that people will not rebel or to believe that it's going to be just simple to oppress them when even Ford couldn't is just pragmatically, it's not pragmatic to believe that anymore. And if that is a bypass or a dissociation or a coping mechanism, um, what can I say? Is a very bad coping mechanism. And um, mm, 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 mm. Anything, and of course people that are really smug, that come from this rape and slavery, elitistic, usurpistic type of thinking, energy siphoning type of thinking. That is, how should I say that? These are the people that are really, really going to suffer with this transit. Um, the people are going to have better time with this transit. People that go by the zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning, and even pragmatically. Okay, because Aries Logos is not about love your neighbor as you love your brother and love the foreigner as you love. No, it's nothing like that. It's like tolerate these dumb fucks because you're also a dumb fuck and you also need to be tolerated. Statistically, every individual is going to be ending up being a dumb fucking one situation or another. We have to tolerate our dumb fuckedness, and that can only happen in zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning conditions. Um, Aries, I want you to think about Aries as I am, therefore I live. I am, therefore I live in a dwelling. Okay? The I am has land, has dwelling. It's not I am, therefore I have. I am, therefore I live. I am, therefore I live in a dwelling on a land. Okay? For it's a survivalistic need. And that land might be self-sustained. But what it is not is I am, therefore I work. What do you do for a living? Um, Making mellows, making tea, making lunch from the eggs from the chickens. Um, okay, so you're working off grid, you're off grid setting. No, I live in the city. Why don't you work? Um, this is what I do for a living. I paint sometimes. Now, if a person doesn't have that to begin with, they cannot have in any job. It's kind of like, okay, how many salaries do I need? Or for the basis, what happens if I'm not able to work? I need to have my land first. I need to have my house first. I need to have maintenance for the house, whether I am or am not able to work. Otherwise, I cannot go to work. I will be ineffective and eventually I will be fired. And then it would harm my resume. Okay, Aries Logos. The people that haven't figured that out yet, they are going to figure that out. Think about Uranus in Aries. Uranus in Aries was when we first began to think about, after the subprime crisis, well, my job should be supporting my living expenses, whether it's rent or mortgage. But also, if I, for some reason, can't work, I still need to have a dwelling. Okay, people began to think reasonably and like, okay, does this workplace provide for a living? But then what happens if we don't get along? Then what? I have to change my residence? And then what's in the meantime? What's in between? With Chiron, we addressed the housing crisis also on an energy level. Is this house supporting of my nervous system? And with Neptune, we go all the way to the deep. What happens when I can't work? In survivalistic, well, all the wars are about natural resources. Shouldn't be no reason if my country just looted some natural resources. It's saying it won a war. Shouldn't be no reason I should not have a house and a land as a civilian. And people already know, thanks Needing Cult Lady, that cults want people's labor. So they ask themselves, okay, what is the place of labor? That I even hear talks about um, saying goodbye to the monetary system. Like again, I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not saying I'm pro or against, but I know that the basis needs to be there, whether there is or isn't monetary system, whether there is or isn't work. And a lot, and most of humanity is running into consecutive crises that pull the rug from underneath the feet when it comes to having any belief that I'm going to go to work, the work will sustain me, and I'm going to work in something that sustain my living expenses. I'm going to fit my lifestyle to live within the my abilities, and then more and more crises happen that break apart this equation. It started the most recent was the subprime. And then the trafficking permeated more and more sectors, permeated academia, it permeated the mandatory military services, it permeated residence and housing, it permeated sectors of society that either were dissociated or um, thought that they are immune to. If people have to say, if certain communities have to sacrifice people to death cults, then it has implications. Okay, they need to abolish these practices within the community. Um, Particularly, colonialism o'clock is the worst time possible to practice any type of ritualistic violence. Okay, entire India was colonized, and it was allowed because they used to burn the widows alive with the dead husband. And so entire India met the fate of the woman. Entire sectors of Europe were um, suffered a lot because they believe that if a woman is raped, then she is not pure, and she either need to marry her rapist or she's considered a whore. That meant that all the women and men that complied with that met the fate of the woman. Okay, but here is the point of interference. I'm not I'm not a, how should I say it? I'm not a rage prophet. Okay, I'm an astrologer, not a rage prophet, and I'm not a doom and gloom prophet. What can be done is the minute people get that, which is why I'm recording these videos, they can begin to raise awareness to abolish rape and slavery mentality, to abolish ritual abuse within the communities, to abolish child marriage wherever they exist, to abolish the misconceptions around what they think is sex work. They're going to run into resistance. Well, the answer to that resistance is first, zero rape, zero slavery, zero trafficking, zero energy siphoning, and then we'll talk. Oh, but I'm losing my job. So were the people that um, signed up to work in academia and were trafficked. Oh, but I'm losing my rent. So were the people that were trafficked as tenants. Oh, but I cannot actually do a job. Good morning. You're together with the rest of us. Let's do something about housing independent of ability to work. Oh, speaking about housing going down, down, down. More missiles. Yep.